Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. Jackson, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. A little bit of deja vu to start my morning, but good otherwise.
Yeah. Sometimes it just feels like you take a step back and you just do it again.
Well, Groundhog's Day was earlier this week, after all.
And that rodent needs to be stopped.
Yes, it does. Okay, one of our coworkers was like, I think Pakistani Phil is a widely beloved creature. And literally the day before was like, I wish he'd go away.
Yeah.
Within a 24-hour span.
Well, also, he's not widely beloved.
No.
Because he's one of the least accurate groundhogs in the country.
But he is widely beloved when he predicts winners about the end. It's entirely dependent on if he wants to bend the knee to what people want to hear.
Did you know that's only 20 times since the 1890s?
Really?
Yeah.
I know he's at 30-something% over the last 25 years.
Yeah. Well here. The best part is that I know that Noah has a groundhog ranking because I was just reading it this week. And as of 2025, yeah, he was at 35%, which is good for 17th out of 19. Buckeye Chuck, tied for 7, 60%.
What?
Number one, Staten Island Chuck, 85%, representing the state of New York.
Of course. Okay. There you go. Well, I guess we need to change the people of Gobbler's Knob would be distraught if we all shifted our attention to Staten Island Chuck, though.
The people of the country of America would also be distraught if we're like, let's check in on what's happening on Staten Island.
Yeah, that's fair. But at least, hey, if that's where the accurate sources live, so be it.
Hey, if that's where the best weather predicting rodent lives, might as well.
And we are already this far off track, and we are 3 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Let's bring it back to Buckeye Chuck because the state of Ohio is making some changes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You and I were talking about girls and women's basketball today. Kind of taking a look at some big headlines.
Yes.
One of the big headlines that is happening right now is a discussion in Ohio about name, image, and likeness, specifically at the high school and also middle school level. Mm-hmm. With 2 state reps, Adam Bird, and Ocioto. It's Ocioto, and I can't remember his first name.
Mike
Ocioto. Thank you.
I believe it's also Odioso.
Yeah. I'm
all this. It's legal
mixing
reps.
them up. Yes, but he's also the Cincinnati rep. But the two of them are working together on a bill that would essentially ban high school and middle schoolers from being able to profit off of NIL deals.
Yes.
I know we're not going to get too deep into it because we don't know what the details of it are going to be. It is just a proposal that is going to be brought to committee at some point this week. Mm-hmm. It may have already been in committee by the time that this episode has come out. They're still kind of working through all that. We will give a bigger breakdown on it at a later date, especially once we have some actual legal analysts that we can sit down with. I'll just say though, I do think there's a point with middle school and high school of this is kind of losing the vision of it all.
I think much like in high school or in collegiate level, once you figure out what the cap is, if you can salary cap the situation, I think it's fine. Because a high schooler,
and I also don't. I don't think it needs, or I don't think it's bad if it's the way that it started, where it's sponsorship type deals that aren't connected to being on a team.
Right. And I think that's the primary. Because kids at Moeller get free education based on athletic scholarships, from what I understand. That is inherently a transactional thing, even though I understand the education is the transaction. All the same, I think that if it's you can make up to $5,000 in a year or up, whatever. Set your it can't be anything gaudy. We shouldn't have $100,000 athletes in high school because that's absurd. And ultimately that money ends up just getting funneled to their parents more often than not, if we're being perfectly honest. But I do think that if you're drawing, it just can't come from a university. It needs to come from hey, the restaurant down the street that you grew up eating wants to have you in a commercial because the people of West Claremont love you. or the people around Anderson High School love you, or whatever.
Skyline Chili loves Matt Ponatoski.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Ponatoski does a couple spots or
Does a commercial.
whatever.
Gets a photo with
a billboard near the university that's like QB1 eats Skyline, and he gets paid a couple bucks for it. Sure.
Yeah.
But you're right. It doesn't need to be some big flashy way to bribe kids any more than they are already being bribed on the NIL package that they're going to receive in college.
Yes. So we did just want to touch on that for a moment. We'll take a deeper look at it later on this year, probably. Spring, summertime, whenever, like you said, some of it becomes more official, and we can set up some interviews and get stuff rolling. That's our favorite thing, is to get people smarter than us to talk about the things that matter.
Providing legitimacy.
But let's shift over to some girls basketball story. You covered boys basketball, big headlines, big storylines that are happening right now. But the girls side have some hidden gems as well. So go ahead and break them down for us.
Absolutely. So obviously last week I talked about a group of undefeated teams in the tri-state that were still remaining in Ohio. And for our Kentucky teams, there's a singular undefeated school remaining, that being Mount Notre Dame.
Huge.
Yes. So they are 19-0 at this point. They've got 2 games left to survive. That's it. And it's like next Monday, I want to say, and then the Friday after that. Like, they've got a lot of rest period built into the remainder of their schedule. In the last 3 weeks, they've beaten teams 56-16 and 66-19.
Oh.
In case you're curious.
Yeah.
So the defense is up to 11, and you'll hear a little bit more about that here in about 15 seconds. They average just under 64 points per game. They allow just above 38. As a unit, almost 16 steals a game, which is just mind-boggling. Over 4 blocks per game. They are being led by a pair of sisters, Mia and Bella Veith.
Yes.
Mia, the high-profile scorer right now, 16.2 points per game, over 3 rebounds, over 2 assists, over 3 steals. Bella joins her with over 10 points per game, over 3 rebounds, and then 3.7 steals. Almost 7 steals between the two. Mount Notre Dame is just one of those schools that year over year you expect a lot from them, but they are still very much exceeding even the loftiest of expectations coming into the season.
I know I've heard Mia Veith's name before. Is she a senior this year?
I believe so. Hold on, let me double check.
Yeah,
because
fine.
they were last year, they only had 3 losses.
Yes.
They're the picture of consistency. They're a school that we talk about just ad nauseum. Yes, Mia is a senior.
Cool.
And I believe Bella is too. Yeah, they might even be twins, truthfully.
Well, that could be.
Yeah. I would imagine kind of almost have to be being in the same grade level. But all the same, both seniors, there's going to be an interesting shift after this year, in my opinion, on what Mount Notre Dame does to rebuild, because, after those two, you don't have any 10-point scorers. Reese Hackney, who's a junior, has 9. Ava Simpson also has 9. She's a sophomore. So those are probably going to be the 2 that end up getting elevated. Mm-hmm. But right now, they're being led by their pair of seniors. Also worth mentioning, Mia has a 42.1% three-point percentage. Just if you needed more reason to trust her with the ball. Exactly. Mm-hmm. But right now, it's kind of where it's like, okay, we're going to trust the sisters, let the pieces behind them kind of fall in where they need to. It's obviously working out very well. Curious to see how the proverbial baton gets passed, because we've seen smooth transitions. We've also seen teams kind of land in a weird middle ground, which I would deem Purcell Marian might kind of be in that.
I was going to say, you're talking about a rebuild for next year for Mount Notre Dame.
Yes.
Purcell Marian, it is a thing where, and you're going to go over the numbers, but when I look at what they have, it's not a hard rebuild.
No.
It is just you're not where you were. But it's like the Patriots.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or even Kansas City, whenever they would, if they lose a couple games.
Hey, this year they dropped off type thing.
Absolutely. And I don't even think that Purcell will get to that level by any means. But when you win so many state titles year over year over year. How could you ever expect that? It has to end eventually.
Yes.
Right? The good news is their main piece is a junior this year. And I think that they're setting up for something that could be a return to dominance next year. TBD so far at this point. They are 13-5, 7-0 within the MVC.
Okay.
Their losses: Milford by 4. A team that almost willed themselves onto this list as the power conference storyline that I had last week, because the ECC over there, Milford, West Claremont, Winton Woods, Walnut Hills, like very deep, ended up having to leave them off because we've talked about most of those teams, 2, 3, 4 times at this point. So, a close loss to Milford, nothing to be ashamed of. Doral, a school we're not familiar with, by 16. Cham Julienne by 18. Example Academy by 10. And then Big Walnut, who is one of those schools that I think kind of ends up being a molar where they're at, where it's like they just are good at everything. They lost to Big Walnut by 21. 61.7 points per game, 45.6 allowed. Worth noting, they are allowing 29 in conference. They are 7-0 in conference. They are maintaining their strength over the MVC. It's just translating it outside of that has been the issue to this point.
Yes.
6-5 when they're not playing MVC teams is worth mentioning. As a unit, 35.4 rebounds. And again, like I mentioned, their big primary player that they're building around now is Samaya Wilkins, who has proven that was a correct choice. It's just a matter of making sure that the remainder of what's around her gets fleshed out. So she is averaging 20.8 points per game, 12.6 rebounds, 1.4 steals, 1.6 blocks. You take those numbers every day of the week, especially from your primary scorer. The problem is Courtney Peterson would be the second highest scorer with 9.3. She's also a junior, so there's some growth period there. Nakia Mejia is a sophomore and has only played 7 games. She would be the next up. Layla Claxton up there as well. It's a one where Purcell in the past was able to had Samaya and had Kiara Miller last year, who both were averaging 13 points per game to go along with Dee Alexander.
Yes.
Right now, the Dee Alexander totals have been replicated if you want to go that far. But the second and third options are where we're trying to see who's going to develop into that for the Cavs.
You're not getting the full aggregate of what that team was last year.
Correct. You shifted some folks up. You're using your Moneyball language on me, and I respect it.
I love that movie.
It is a fantastic movie. But yeah, you're shifting some pieces up, and while Samaya was ready for that jump, the growth period is still apparent in some of the other spots.
Yes.
And nothing wrong with that. Again, you can't win every state title ever, as much as I'm sure Purcell Marian wants to. But still an impressive team, still going to be a playoff team
Contender.
to focus on, and something to watch, but just not as lofty expectations as they normally have. Pretty much since this podcast started and before our time even.
Yes. that was always nice to have the one team that was like, well, they're going to go for a state title again.
Don't have anything to talk about? Let's talk about Purcell Marian, because that's a fun one. And they had twice Ohio Player of the Year?
Yes.
God,
what a team.
I'm ready for D to be like full bore at UC.
I am too.
I'm really, really ready for that because that's going to be fun. But those cover our 2 primary storylines that I wanted to focus on today. In Ohio, we still got a couple more in Kentucky, of course. What I think has been the most interesting kind of battle to watch in Kentucky, maybe across both genders, is the race to be the best in Region 9 because it's spanned a couple years now. Holy Cross and Cooper. Last year, the Holy Cross was 25-8. They got put out by Cooper in the first round of the region. This year, they are 19-2. Both of the games they've lost were in overtime.
Ooh.
Okay. Yep. Campbell County got them on December 22nd, and that was the last time that they lost a game. And they, kind of like what I said, was the recipe for success for Purcell Marian, have found their trio of high contributors and people that you can lean on. So you've got Demaya Williams, who averages 16 points per game. She's only got 9 games logged right now.
Okay.
Jay Johnson has 13.6 points per game in all 21. And then Alyssa Arlinghouse, the coach's daughter, 12.9 points per game in 21 games again. So just a very functional rotation of quality performers who have managed to propel Holy Cross into this position that makes it feel like they could be really comfortably in the driver's seat to win Region 9. Mm-hmm. But Cooper is still defending their throne. Like I said, they beat Holy Cross, but they won the 9th region in totality, beating Notre Dame Academy last year. They were eliminated in the second round of the state bracket, so got that one. This year so far, they're 15-4, so they've lost a couple more. They're 2 games back, so they could still be 17-4 by the time they level out on games played. 54.8 points per game, and then they are more of a dynamic duo. But Haley Knoll has been a standout performer, 22.5 points per game in 17 contests. Addison Brissy, 10.5 points per game in 17 contests. I do believe both of them played those other 2. They just didn't have the stats in the database. Yeah. Because it was like Friday's game and then like a Monday game, or something weird. Yeah. But so Cooper has the more high volume scorer, somebody who has shown more ability to consistently take over. But when that shot runs cold, or if it runs cold, Holy Cross just has a wider variety of options to take down Cooper and stand atop. Stand atop Region 9. We also will get to see these 2 teams play in a week from today as we record, and 6 days from when this episode releases, next Wednesday.
Very nice.
Yeah.
The thing that I was going to ask was with Demaya Williams, since you said there's 9 games, and I don't know if you can see the specifics of which games those were. Is it she was coming in off of injury and is now contributing, or was early on injury takes her out, hasn't been playing as much?
I believe it was early. I can double check.
Because that's kind of that was one thing that I started running into when I was looking at some of my teams that I will be talking about in a little bit, where I was like, oh, this is a weird shift of like how the team performs. And then it was like, oh, and they were missing key player type thing.
Yes. And I'm trying, because we use Ryherds to find the stats for the seasons for basketball and stuff. And it's kind of tough to figure out where the links miss.
Sure.
So let's see. Demaya did not play in the most recent game. I'm trying to. Demaya. Okay, so it looks like it was an early injury.
Okay.
And so let's see. That would be round about there. Yeah, because she hasn't been in the couple of more recent games that I clicked on.
Okay.
So
you have that score that hasn't been back yet.
Correct.
But
with the high school level, it is kind of tough to figure out injury timelines or any because there's just not really a responsible or simple way to report that.
No. And it's not like you have a full-on medical team at the school that is constantly keeping track of things and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You're just trying not to make it worse.
Yeah. So yeah, that race is interesting to watch. Hopefully Demaya can make it back because she was an integral piece at the beginning of the season, but we will have to wait and see on that front. And then Simon Kenton defending their Division 10 crown would be the next and final storyline that I want to focus on here.
Yes.
Because they've been an impressive team. Did you just notice my OCD kick in?
Yeah.
Yep. So I highlight the kind of like the subject line of these on our shared docs note and underlined it, bolded it, and italicized it. And I realized that the last one was not that, so I had to do it while I was talking. Sorry. Yep. Just how it goes. But last year, SK 26-5. They beat Grant County for the R10 title. They lost in the Sweet 16 to Frederick Douglass.
Yes.
This year, 22-1.
Beautiful.
I mean, can't ask for anything better than that. 50. Well, I guess you can by one, but whatever. Yeah. Technicalities, right? 56.4 points per game, 37.9 allowed. Their lone loss, little tough, by 30. But it was Somerset Academy Canyons from Florida. It was like Buoyancy Beach. It wasn't Buoyancy Beach, but it was something weird. Okay. Some kind of double B whatever. Either way, an academy that is probably recruiting kids from well around the state. Their primary two scorers that you need to know about: junior Brinley Purnell, 17.1 points per game; senior Haley Webb, 14 points per game. So they found that successful duo. They're just repeating success again. They're growing as a team. Obviously, Haley will be gone next year, but we've still got another year of Brinley, who is elevated into that kind of premier scorer role for the team. Overall, just one of those teams that I'm not really sure that we've gotten to talk about SK more than once on this podcast. Felt like we needed to shine that light on them because they have been dominant.
Yeah, I do think Simon Kenton's been one that we've not given as much attention to so far this year.
I think maybe in the underrated section, I was like, they're really good, but they're not, but we didn't get to delve into them fully. Mm-hmm. So yeah, SK, just one of those teams that I think we're going to sit back and they're going to make an Elite Eight, Final Four run, and we're going to go, that we should have known that was coming because they just kept doing it every week that we got to talk, every week that they performed.
Yeah.
So, watch SK there to make a pretty dangerous run at the end of the year.
And the good news is you don't have to play any more Florida academies.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you're done with that. Kentucky only.
I was going to say, and I did look it up. That's near West Palm Beach, which is where I almost worked.
Really?
Yep.
I had a talk. Well, I applied and got back for an interview after I'd already accepted a job in Wyoming in PCB, Panama City.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look at
that.
There's just so many TV stations in Florida that, I feel like everybo's like, oh, I almost worked at a station in Florida. Yeah. Because there's 20 of them. Yeah. Oh, well, there's 20 different markets.
Yeah. It's a wide spread of state.
Yeah.
It's also why when people are like, oh, you're going to Florida, you got to be like, well, yeah, it's Miami, not Tallahassee.
Yeah, not Gainesville, not Tallahassee, not Orlando. Like, you gotta triangulate pretty heavy there.
Go to Tampa.
Go to Tampa, which got cold. But
yes, it did.
It's such a weird winter. Either way, those are my girls basketball storylines. You, of course, have brought a few of your own to the table.
Well, I've got women's basketball.
Yes, you do.
And
an important distinction.
Very important distinction. I wanted to kind of take a minute and look at I know we skimmed over teams earlier when we kicked off our basketball coverage again, and it's now kind of been the point where I'm like, ooh, what's happening that's cool, what's interesting. You see Xavier kind of struggling right now. We kind of expected that from this year. They're still working out everything and figuring out where to go from there. So I did have three teams that I wanted to talk about who I think are performing incredibly well, despite one having some recent failures. But I'll break down why I think that they're going to be improving from here towards the end of the season. And that is the number 16 UK Wildcats. So they were on a 3-game skid with losses to Mississippi State 71-59, Tennessee 60-58, and Georgia 72-67. Just turned it back on with a win against Arkansas 93-73. The key piece that has been missing, the key piece, is Tiani Key.
Yes.
She's been out for 6 games. When I look at what has been happening from just a box score perspective, it reads like Clara Strack is this leader at center for them and easy scorer. She dropped 33 points against Arkansas, but was held to basically 12 and under in those 3 losses. And so to me, it reads a little bit as when you have another threat like Tiani Key out on the court, Strack is able to adjust, find openings, and kind of work from there, with Key in the starting lineup, I should say. I'm curious to see if at some point it just becomes if we just always lock down Strack, does that stop them from, scoring as well? But I do feel like Key is that secondary scorer that then if you're not giving her the full attention that she needs to be stopped, you're going to get scored on.
Right. Yeah, the health of Key is going to provide so much depth and not value, but just layers in general for this Kentucky team. It's interesting that this year there's been both Kentucky basketball teams have like had their struggles and had like this skid of like this is not
these are weird losses,
right? And they're both having to figure it out in real time. The men's team has sorted it, I think. They've gotten hot. They were left off of the top 25 for longer than they should have been. The girls now have their turn. Looks like they're figuring that out against Arkansas. But you're right. If they can provide that second shooter in Tiani Key, I think that 5 seed in the tournament potential, or wherever they end up in the tournament, could be an undervalued position just because they will have been. They would have been, a 2 seed had that injury not happened. And so they can kind of play their way back up.
They were projected at one point, I believe in January, to be a 2 seed by Charlie Cream.
Right.
And that has just kind of fallen off with those losses. It's really that Mississippi State loss that is the big one to go, ooh,
yeah,
what happened there? Because, at the end of the day, Tennessee Lady Vols is a program that it's not where it once was.
But they're still
a very strong and very historic program.
And it's a rivalry game.
Now you got South Carolina and you got UConn that I think are in the upper echelon of that.
But no, rivalry games I tend to just dismiss almost entirely because it's like, emotions are running high.
Yeah.
Like Kentucky and Tennessee, especially on the basketball court, are rivals, and there's just no changing that.
Yeah. But it's seeing that shift from 59, 58, 67 to a 93-point win that is finally like, okay, there's clearly something that Key brings to the court to make that offense run and get them scoring again.
Yeah.
They are currently projected as a 5 seed right now, taking on Vanderbilt, another team that has been doing pretty well this year. That game is Thursday night tonight as you're listening to this at 7. And looking at the other end of Kentucky, and not really an end, but a little bit down the road in Kentucky.
I would say the state's pretty split in half between these two universities, no matter how close they are.
Yeah, that's fair. I just when I say the end, I would be like, oh, I'm going to Western Kentucky. But the University of Louisville women's team, they're 21-3, 11-0 in the ACC. This is their first ever 11-0 start in the ACC.
Beautiful. A lot of historic success in women's college basketball in tri-state favorite.
A lot of historic basketball right now.
Yeah, just honestly. In general.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's really crazy. Their closest ACC game was against North Carolina State, an overtime 88-80 win. They're up against Duke at home on Thursday, currently projected as a 2 seed. I look at them and I go, this is the team to beat, and it's very interesting because I don't think that they are necessarily here is the star. It is just a team that is playing lockdown basketball and putting up shots and making them.
Yeah.
They're on basically a 23-point scoring margin.
They're the type of school that like they make 30 for 30s about from the 80s.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, and you had this girl and that girl, and it's like it's a 7-deep team, and they all averaged more than 10 but less than 15.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, we just had a really good batch. Like, 3 of them would have been 22-point per game scores if they'd have been anywhere else in the country, but because they all played together, they shared the wealth.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, another good comparison to bring it to, too, because I'm trying to think of, like, what are some teams that didn't have, like, a star or were split between, like...
The Texas Tech team, whenever that made that Final Four run, like Jarrett Culver's year. Because he was a bench player and was 4th overall pick.
Yeah, because like I think there's like 3 people scoring like 10 to 13 points per game.
Yeah, it's Tiana Roberts at 12.5, Laura Ziegler at 11, and then Amari Berry at 10.6. Yes. And then you've still got I would butcher that name. Elif I'm not Elif. I'm just going to go with Elif. 9.7. Skylar Jones, 9.5. Raina Scott, 8 points. McKinley Randolph, 8 points. Like, it is just layer.
And then you're just preventing scoring.
Yeah.
is the key thing. But, yeah, the biggest thing, too, is they're taking 200 more shots and making them than their opposing teams.
Yeah. Well, and all those points are still totaling to 82.6 a game. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like they're some 70-something odd points per game score that's just lockdown. They're putting up good numbers.
Yeah. And like my key thing is just that it's not that they're just throwing up shots as often as possible and that's how they're keeping the ball away or like, getting rebounds. It's like they're shooting these and making them and then they are stopping the other team from scoring or even taking the shot in the first place.
Absolutely.
So I look at UL as a team to beat right now for the area. Mm-hmm. Obviously, UConn is going to be a team that will always be the one to beat Correct. When you are going into March.
Correct. South Carolina.
South Carolina is always in a dominant situation at this point.
Yes.
Until Gino and Don go somewhere else, that's just how it's going to be.
And by somewhere else, I presume you mean home.
Yeah. Retire or get the biggest bag from a university that I've ever seen.
Honestly, if they got the biggest bag, it'd have to be at the pro level, I think.
I disagree. I don't think Gino ever leaves.
No.
I mean, at this point, it does.
I think it'd have to be Don going to like the NBA, like legitimately.
That's fair. See, that's actually a better point because I was like, Don's not going to go to like, the Fever, and stuff like that.
But like, because it becomes her and I'm blanking on that. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. Oh, Becky Hammond. Mm-hmm. Like if they were to promote one of like these two like dominant women's coaches that finally have a women's coach in the NBA, it'd have to be one of them too. And I would think that you would have to give her a substantial amount of money to leave South Carolina.
Oh, absolutely.
Like substantial, like maybe top 10 coaching money in the NBA.
Yeah, I was only trying to consider of like, is there a team who isn't dumping money into football that would dump it into women's basketball instead?
That's valid. I can't think of one immediately off head.
I mean, it's UConn.
Yeah, true.
So if Gino retires and then they take Don Staley, there you go.
Imagine that.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be a nightmare.
I don't believe that'll ever happen.
No, that's kind of like the Dabo Swinney thing. Like
of leaving Clemson and
when Alabama opened, since he played at Alabama and whatever, it's like, but he's not leaving Clemson. No. It's like it doesn't matter how historic that program is. He's staying at his own program that he's made historic.
Yeah, and as well, maybe a couple more callers on his radio show, and he
there you go
doesn't enjoy it as much. But the other team I want to talk about is one that is undefeated in the MAC. Mm-hmm. Making a historic run. That's right. It's not the Miami men's team. It's the Miami women's team.
Yeah.
Because while the Miami men are 23-0,
yes,
insane start to the season. I think it's in like a top 17 starts of all time,
probably
for teams. The Miami women are 18-4, 10-0, held Ohio to a 9-point fourth quarter.
So good.
It was very interesting looking at that box score because you had a first and third quarter where Ohio was scoring. Second and fourth, they were locking them down and holding them to like 9 and I think like 12.
Yeah.
While Miami's just kind of consistently scoring across the board, and I was like, that's good. That's the consistency you want to see from a team.
Absolutely.
Amber Kalia had 23 points. Ilsa DeVries had 18. Tamar Singer had 17. The team made 17 3-pointers in that game.
God. I mean, that is just what are you supposed to do with that? Like, how are you supposed to do anything?
You just put all of your players around the perimeter and say, no getting passes now.
You just lock arms and just shuffle around the...
I don't know what I saw recently, but it was like, it might have been a high school game where the team did it like the 4 girls around the 5th player who had the ball, like brought her up to the 3-point line and let her shoot.
Yeah.
I think it was because like that player hadn't played or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
And then she shot and made, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
pretty sick. But yeah, this is their first time ever getting a 10-0 conference start. They were at home against Georgia Southern on Saturday at 1 p.m. Yeah, it's just one of those ones where we are keeping an eye on Miami men so closely, but this women's team is doing fantastic work. that I think should be recognized as well. So.
Of course, yeah. They've got 4 players, kind of like we had talked about, above 10 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Amber Treader, Scalia, DeVries, Tamar Singer, all in that range there. Like, it's, again, just it proves that, especially at the collegiate level, having just a bunch of really well-rounded players that get it
is better than having 1 star.
Yep. Other than, like, tournament time, whenever, like, games get close. But, like, to get to that point, you've got to play as a team. And Miami's women's basketball team has certainly figured it out.
I will always say that I think the best teams are going to be the ones that have a leader, but not a star.
Yes. Honestly, it's usually better if your leader is, like, the second or third highest point scorer in your team. Because then it's like, who are we supposed to key? It's the proverbial linebacker that's not the bucket getter, but is kind of leading the charge. Do we focus on them? Do we focus on the person who's getting those shots? Like, it becomes such a nightmare for any coach to deal with.
Yeah, it's the UConn Purdue national championship game where, like, that Purdue team had Zach Edey, who has gone on to play in the NBA and be pretty solid, but, like, it wasn't only on him. You just, like, they got there because they had other shooters who were able to enable him, like the Clara Strack situation in Kentucky, I feel like, is kind of that closest resemblance to that, because you just don't see as many centers in the women's side of the game that are, like, playing the 5 type thing. So, but yeah, that is all that we have for this week, Jackson.
Go. Next week is my Indiana episode, so get excited.
Does that mean I have to make it an Indiana episode too?
No, I don't guess so. We don't have to keep the theme.
Might as well.
If you want to.
It's more fun that way.
Go for it, dude. The themes have been pretty consistent for the last, like, month, though. That's been nice.
Yeah. Hey, themes are fun. And as we said, Bloomington is vaguely near us.
Yeah. Because you could do Notre Dame, you could do Bloomington, you could do
Ball State.
Yeah. Chirp.
I talk about Purdue enough. It's okay.
Literally 45 seconds ago mentioning their national title
game.
Well,
just to remind the people that they were in that recently.
Well, while you ponder Purdue's history, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts under the Fox 19 Now sports feed. The great thing about that is that you get us on Thursdays and you get the Gold Standard on Fridays with Charlie Goldsmith and Joe Daneman talking all things Breads, Bengals, and more. Probably going to be talking about Gino this week.
Absolutely.
Since that, I love that guy.
That's their fish. That's
so happy to have him back.
And that's a great big fish to get.
That's a great. And
Eugenio Suarez coming back to Cincinnati is really fun.
And let me tell you, putting him in at DH, gonna be great.
Make it happen.
Love it.
Make it happen.
He's basically coming to do the Votto thing. That, like, but people younger. Wanted to do Votto, and just a little bit younger, and arguably a better bat right now.
At where Votto finished relative to where Eugenio is now, by the time they were calling for that DH situation, yes, a better bat.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's just that he turned around since leaving the not turned around, but, like,
he found a different
improving.
level.
Yeah. So, but you'll hear them say more intelligent stuff than the two of us about Eugenio Suarez. Don't forget that the video versions are also available on fox19now.com. You can find that under the sports tab and also on the Fox 19 Now YouTube page. That is all that we have for you this week, though. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.